Hello, I'm Robin Gibson, and this is the Harvard House Money Morsel. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us again. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the bell so you get a notification of when we're releasing a new video. Sitting again today with Michael Porter. Hello, Michael.
Yeah, morning, Robin.
So, Michael, we never really know what we're going to wake up to. Sunday morning, we woke up to bunker bombs. And now we have, well, I don't know that we would go to peace in the Middle East, but a tentative ceasefire. Trump is producing the goods.
Yeah, sure. Are you on his payroll now too?
Maybe, yeah. I'm going for my orange hair dye.
Yeah, Robin, sure. I mean, for me, it just highlights what we've been saying over the last couple of weeks of just how uncertain things are. Trump basically gave Iran a 2-week window period to start negotiating, and within 2 days he'd sent in the bombers, and they were craying about it. But now there's a lot of debate about how effective those strikes actually were, and whether they've actually derailed the nuclear program as they said it would. So who knows what to believe, but yes, the bombs went in. Is there a ceasefire in the Middle East? I think there's a tentative ceasefire in the Middle East. There might be a few stray missiles flying around, but it does seem that the intensity has backed off a little bit, which is very good. I mean, obviously, if there can be some peace, that would be great.
Yes.
So for the market implication, on Sunday, I think it was, Iran retaliated on Monday by firing rockets into Qatar to the American airbase, and they were all shot down. And Iran,
telegraphed, apparently.
Yeah, and Iran, obviously announced to its citizens that they'd retaliated and struck back hard, but it was a very soft response, essentially. And oil prices are having touched $80 a barrel and are back at $68 a barrel. So that's obviously very good news for everybody, including us. And that whole inflationary threat has receded. So that's been the biggest change. The other thing is that the gold price has also come off a little bit because I suppose maybe there was a little bit of sort of buy the rumor, sell the fact. Tensions are just de-escalating a little bit. The gold price is coming off marginally. So things are shifting around, but the fact that the oil prices come off is obviously good news for everybody, including us.
Yeah. So from a South African perspective, we saw the commodity prices come back. Rand came back. I think it touched 1770 at one point, which was great news. But the platinum price stayed pretty high. I mean, is that a demand or a supply issue?
Robin, I think it's a combination of both. I mean, listen, supply's definitely been constrained. I mean, South African miners have been under the cosh for ages. Production is generally being cut across all the miners for various reasons, whether it's like excessive rainfall or just cutting costs, or they're not profitable, or whatever the case is. So supply is more constrained. I think demand's coming through. There does appear to be quite a lot more jewelry demand coming through. I think under the Trump presidency, this absolute race towards sort of carbon net zero has diminished. So I think there's a bit more flexibility in the car engine space. And so platinum prices are $1,400 an ounce. They haven't been this high for 10 or 12 years, Robin. So it's not to say, they probably should be over $2,000 an ounce.
Yes.
And obviously it's also important what palladium and rhodium do as other parts of the basket. But it's nice to see platinum moving, and I think it's all relative. It will make a big difference to these guys. Also, with the rand still relatively weak, it does help the miners. So between the gold and the platinum miners, they're setting the JSE alight this year completely.
So Michael, you've made the comment before about platinum. Well, mining. We're still a mining country, so we're not the biggest gold producer in the world, but I think platinum is kind of top of the pops. We are up there.
Yeah.
But if platinum mining is a good space, it does filter into every other part of the economy, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely, Robin. When the mines are spending money, whether it's on maintenance or new shafts or expansion or whatever the case is, that money feeds through to to the economy. So mining needs spares, they need machinery. They, when they're going full tilt, they are just generating demand for goods and services, and we can see that coming through. I think there's some anecdotal evidence of some of that coming through. Funnily enough, Hideko, which is a company we talk about quite often, they're actually having their results today. So we'll look to see whether there's any evidence of that coming through in their results, or maybe it'll only really manifest in the next 6 months. But yes, it definitely does get things moving. And even if you think about like some of the shopping centers in Rustenburg and that kind of area, and then down into the Lowveld where the platinum mines are, they get a big boost from guys getting a little bit more money. You're not retrenching, you actually might be paying fuel or bonuses or whatever the case is, so the money definitely does spread through the economy quite quickly. And obviously it's also good for our foreign exchange earnings, our terms of trade, because the rand's been quite strong against the dollar, but again, it's the weakness of the dollar that's coming through, and that's just because it looks like now Trump is trying to almost signal who he's going to appoint to replace Powell, and just undermining the Fed the whole time. So the Fed's sort of like, well, we might cut rates, we'll see how it's going. They're under enormous political pressure to cut interest rates, and central banks shouldn't be under pressure to cut. There shouldn't be political pressure. I mean, our own staff should be under enormous pressure to cut rates, but the Reserve Bank's independent, they do what they need to do, but the Federal Reserve is really coming under a lot of fire at the moment, and I think it's undermining this dollar thing that we've talked about. It doesn't mean to say that the dollar is going to collapse, but I just think it's making people question where to from here. But I suppose relative to what we were in April, Robin, with the trade wars and the uncertainty, you have to say that this has been a benign outcome. It might, I'm still concerned what happens in sort of July and August, but I think generally speaking that for all the bluster, not much has actually changed necessarily. Things have changed. Tariffs are higher. You can't argue with that, but it's nowhere near the worst case scenario that markets were looking at earlier in the year. So, it's uncertain, but in some respects, it's sort of business as usual. But I'm scared to say that too, because we don't know what's coming tomorrow.
Well, it's nice to see that there certainly seems to be a more positive outlook in many of the share prices on the companies that we hold. So that's good news. Michael, thanks for giving us that insight. Thank you for joining us. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.